Let me ask you something honest, and I want you to really sit with this for a moment. When was the last time you felt genuinely proud of your savings account? Not just relieved it existed, but truly proud it was building your future the way you imagined when you started. Because here is what I see happen all the time, and it is far more common than most people realize. Someone works hard, gets disciplined, sets up automatic transfers every month, and skips the purchases that other people their age keep making without thinking twice. Then a couple of years pass and they check that balance and they feel this strange mix of pride and disappointment at the exact same time. The number is technically higher, but it does not feel like it moved the way it should have given how much they gave up to grow it. That feeling is not paranoia. It is a signal that the system you are working inside was never designed to reward savers the way most of us were taught to believe. It was designed structurally and intentionally to reward investors. And once you understand exactly why, you will never look at a savings account the same way again. Here is a story that might feel familiar because versions of this happen every single day to hardworking, disciplined people. There is a guy named Marcus, solid income, not frivolous with money, genuinely takes his financial health seriously ever since his very first paycheck. Every single month without fail, he moves $600 into a high-yield savings account before he has a chance to spend it on anything else. 5 years later, Marcus has contributed around $36,000, but the total interest earned across all 5 of those years adds up to only about $2,500. Meanwhile, his rent went up 18%, groceries cost noticeably more, and his car insurance increased at every renewal without him changing a thing. The balance grew on paper, but his real purchasing power, what that money actually buys in the world, barely moved at all. Marcus didn't do anything wrong. He did exactly what every personal finance voice he ever trusted told him to do consistently and without fail. And that is precisely the point. He was taught that saving is wealth, building when really saving is just the foundation. There is an entire second step most people are never shown. Let's get into the real mechanics of how money moves through this system, because this is where it gets genuinely eye-opening. Right now in 2026, the best high-yield savings accounts are paying around 4 to 4.4% APY with some promotional rates touching 5% at certain institutions. That sounds decent on the surface, but here is the critical piece most people never factor in when they feel good about that number. That interest is taxed as ordinary income by the IRS. So if you are in the 22% federal tax bracket, you are not keeping 4.4%. You are keeping closer to 3.4% after federal tax, with inflation running around 2.5 to 3% right now. Your real purchasing power gain after both taxes and inflation is less than 1% annually. You are not building wealth at that pace. You are simply treading water. Now, here is the question most people never think to ask: who actually benefits the most when your money sits in a savings account, month after month? The bank does. When you deposit $10,000, the bank isn't holding it in a vault waiting for you to ask for it back. They lend it out immediately to mortgage borrowers, credit card holders, and businesses, charging those borrowers 7, 9, even 20% interest depending on the product. They collect that higher interest, pay you your 4%, and quietly keep the entire spread. You are supplying the capital and the bank is the one doing the actual investing. That is not a scandal. That is simply how fractional reserve banking has always worked. But it does mean the person most rewarded by your saving behavior is not you. Now imagine you put that same $10,000 into a low-cost S&P 500 index fund tracking the 500 largest companies in America. No stock picking required at a conservative 7% annual return. That $10,000 grows to roughly $19,700 in 10 years. The same $10,000 in a savings account grows to only about $15,300 over that same period. And that savings figure does not account for the annual tax drag on interest the IRS collects from you every single year. Savings interest is taxed as ordinary income, the highest tax category. But qualified dividends from index fund stocks are taxed at a far more favorable rate by design. In 2026, if you are a single filer earning under $49,450, your federal tax rate on qualified dividends is exactly 0%, nothing owed on that income at all. A saver earning $3,000 in savings interest pays full ordinary income tax on every dollar. An investor earning that same $3,000 in qualified dividends under that threshold pays nothing. Same amount earned, completely different outcome. The system rewards patient investors, not passive savers. In 2026, you can contribute up to $7,500 per year to a Roth IRA. And if you are 50 or older, that rises to $8,600 with the income phase out for single filers beginning at $153,000. Inside a Roth IRA, every dollar of growth is completely tax-free. Every dividend, every gain, every compounded dollar yours to keep. And when you withdraw after age 59 and a half, you owe nothing to the IRS. If you invest $7,500 this year at a conservative 7% annually, that single contribution grows to around $57,000 by retirement. And you keep every single cent. Here is where most people get stuck. And it is worth being honest about the psychological reason why the emotional pull of a savings account is real. The balance never goes down, never shows a red number, and just sits there looking stable and completely under control. But that stability is quietly hiding a slower kind of loss. Purchasing power, eroding, compounding years you cannot get back, and real economic growth happening without you. Volatility feels like risk because the numbers visibly move. But real risk over a 20-year horizon is inflation outpacing your savings rate year after year without you even noticing. The shift that changes everything is thinking of money, not as something to protect, but as something to put to work. This does not require a high income. It requires knowing which tools exist and committing to use them. First, build an emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of expenses in a high-yield savings account. Once that bucket is funded, redirect extra cash toward investments where compounding can actually work. Second, open a Roth IRA and start contributing. Even $200 a month in a total market index fund is a real wealth building move, automated the same way you automated savings because time is the most important variable in this equation. Third, if your employer offers a 401k match, contribute at least up to the full match. A 50 or 100% instant return is the highest guaranteed return in personal finance. Leaving it behind is one of the most expensive mistakes people make without even realizing it. The system rewards people who understand how capital moves, how tax law works, and how compound growth behaves over time. Savers provide the raw material. Investors participate in the returns, and the money beyond your emergency fund is penalized every day it stays in savings while the economy grows without it. Start small, stay consistent, and trust the math more than the fear. Wealth is built by people who started before they felt ready and stayed patient long enough for compounding to do what it always does. I am not a financial advisor, and nothing here is financial advice. This is purely educational. If this helped you see money differently, drop a comment and tell me what clicked. And if you want more honest, no-hype financial education, make sure you are subscribed so you never miss.